On my Borat shirt, got a haircut, got myself an early Christmas present with the Queens of the Stone Age album I talked about a few days ago. Great album, but not good enough to crack the top 5, which we will do right now. Number 5, an indie rock slash soul artist who incorporates some elements of jazz. It's King Krule with his debut album, 6 Feet Under the Moon. Krule rides subtle but sharp guitar over the entire length of this LP, and he accompanies that with some really unique, almost raspy vocals that don't wear out on you for the entire length of the album. King Krule's a pretty young guy. This is a great debut. I can't wait to see what he puts out next. At number 4, the only rap release I really liked this year for some reason was Danny Brown's Old. A lot of people, after hearing his 2011 mixtape Triple X, applied a lot of stereotypes to Danny Brown, which he pretty clearly denied with this release. He touches a lot more on the serious side of things and gets that out of the way early on the LP, as opposed to Triple X where he had that sort of side on the back. But Danny Brown on this album is very descriptive with his storytelling, but the way that matches up with his pretty crazy personality just paints this picture that has to be seen to be believed. Like the song Wonder Bread, where he's rapping about all these gritty images from the ghetto and his childhood, but at the same time he has an accompanying beat that sounds like it's out of a fairy tale with flutes and ridiculous noises. And also on the backside of this he throws on banger tracks, party tracks, molly tracks, whatever you want to call them, just as good as anything off of Triple X. So a great release from Danny Brown. Number 3, the only pop record on this list was Justin Timberlake's The 2020 Experience, an album that I still think is really, really good. The lyrics aren't top-notch. Nope, Justin Timberlake's lyrics never are, but they're catchy enough to stay in your head longer than you want, and I love all of the instrumentals that are used on this album. They all have a different flavor. All take their influences individually from a different area of music. You aren't listening to the same thing over and over again. And since these songs have 2 parts for the most part, 2 sides if you will, I think the fact that most of them are over 6 minutes isn't that big of a deal, because it does switch it up halfway through. I don't know, I just really like this. Songs like Let the Groove Get In are big and ensemble sized, and then something like Blue Ocean 4 is very mellow, very ambient. Great variety on this album, great dynamics. One of the best pure pop albums I've heard in quite some time. These last 2 were tough. I love them both. But with number 2, I decided to go with Tim Hecker's Virgins. Combination of drone, minimalist, and ambient music. This thing is 45 minutes of piano and distortion. It's incredible that for ambient music and using something like the piano to compose all your music, that Tim Hecker manages to create something so attention-grabbing with this release. A masterful display of technique. Tim Hecker has this ability to create, optimism with these fluttering piano notes, but with the same exact note he can just strike the listener and crush them and pierce them. Little raindrops of piano keys at the beginning of a song can lead away to a downpour of noise and electronic piano, and there's always this sense that that is the direction that the music is headed. There's an impending doom over most of the tracks on Virgins. Magnificent record. It just wasn't enough to take this top spot away from Death Grips, Government Plates. I already talked about this at length. My feelings about it haven't really changed. It's great all around. It really represents a stylistic change. I think Death Grips expected, or should I say was expected, to release something like The Money Store, something very claustrophobic, but they didn't go in that direction, and in my opinion, they pulled it off as best as anyone could have. Attached to these songs isn't the lyrics, like the hooks on the Money Store, where the appeal of this is in the soundscape that Death Grips creates, something they hadn't really explored on their previous releases, but here they did it so well. All of these songs just look into this